Hello, this is Force 13 Live. We're back. It's midnight UTC here in the United Kingdom, and it is now into another day, March the 7th. It's a Tuesday, and it's already Tuesday, has been for a few hours in Madagascar, where Category 5 Inaro is bearing down on the country. On the island, it's a Category 5 with winds of around 160 miles an hour, the latest 89 miles away from Antalaha. That's the latest distance calculation for the storm. I'm joined by the Skype team again for another hour to discuss this and what's going on in the United States with that line of thunderstorms going to possibly do some damage with tornadoes in the central part of the country. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's gotten better in the last frame. The southwestern eye wall. One second, let me just.
It's completely encircled the eye, and the minus 70 cloud tops are encircling the whole entire storm now, which makes it look a little bit better than it did even just 1 hour ago.
It's not quite all the way around the eye. There's still a slight patch, but the eye is certainly clearing out compared to what it was in the last frame. So this is really getting concerning.
Yeah, I'll just be returning in just a moment whilst you discuss what's going on with the storm right now, yeah.
Okay, so like I said earlier, the southwestern eye wall is kind of having a convective burst right now. So when the next frame, it's probably going to be even better than it was before. The eye, however, is suffering from this as it's ragged right now. It has an interesting shape, but that doesn't mean that it's just not still a dangerous storm. It still packs an absolute wallop for wherever it's going to make landfall in Madagascar. And if you are in Madagascar watching this live stream right now, be prepared for torrential rains, storm surges up to 15 feet. Now, this is not to scare you. This is just to inform you of what is likely to happen, and some wind damage along the coastlines. The storm is likely to weaken from Category 5. It's not officially a Category 5, but we should get an update pretty soon from either JTWC or Mateo France. Devin,
I will. I'm keeping an eye on everything, and as soon as the 0Z pops up on either update, I'll let you guys know. I'll tell you right now that I have a sneaky suspicion that the JTWC is not going to change their numbers on this storm, and if they do, it's only going to be by around 5 knots. I don't think they're going to upgrade to the full 160, especially since it really only maintained its Cat 5 look for maybe 3 hours, and it's gone back down, and since they do the analysis in the wrong 6-hour interval, they're only going to get to... yeah, exactly. They're only going to get to the 145. So I don't expect the JTWC's number to change. Mateo France...
Really? I think they will up it.
I think they'll up it to 150 miles an hour, 130 knots, but I don't think they'll go further than that. Mateo France, their last information that was 6 hours ago, and the storm has definitely looks a lot better than it did 6 hours ago. Here's what the storm looked like 6 hours ago. Here's the storm now. Well, maybe not. Well, maybe it's about even.
I'd say it is roughly the same.
Yeah, I'd say it's actually about even. Okay.
Now, the eye has shrunk there, and what do you think's the future of the eye? Eyeball replacement cycle at the worst possible time coming up,
No, I don't. Dry entrainment is probably the biggest thing, along with land interaction. I expect it to slowly start to fizzle out as it slowly approaches Madagascar here. And overall, I think it's not going to maintain to the Cat 5 all the way to land. Like I said, I'm just keeping a close eye on this, and I'll let everyone know what's going on.
Okay. So yeah, as we said, a little bit of discussion that's been sparked there. Stephen says, if the storm is 89 miles from land and it's still moving at 7 knots, then about 10 to 12 more hours till the centre of the eye crosses land, question mark. Well, it's 89 miles from Antalaha, which isn't necessarily the closest point on land. I think the closest point on land right now would be, let's take a look doing my measurements here, well, just a little bit less, 80 miles from land. But Antalaha is the closest town. But yeah, still 80 miles away from the closest point of land if it was to hit exactly on that point. Based on that, guys, any suggestions? Moving at 7 knots, it's going to be maybe 9 hours at that rate.
10 hours.
Yeah,
10 hours, pretty much on the dot. But I do think that the storm is moving a little bit quicker than 7 knots now as well. So
that's interesting. I wonder what
Cesar
real time.
says,
yeah, it's actually 8 knots now.
Yeah, Cesar said he doesn't think 10 hours is too much. And what I have to say to him is 4 hours is too little. So
7 hours.
So yeah, let's just average that out. 7, 8 hours is the most likely scenario. Closer to 8, probably, considering that it looks like it is accelerating.
If it is accelerating, though, then it would be quicker than that.
Well, you never know how long this acceleration rate is going to keep up. It could easily start slowing back down again.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just satellite messing with us again. Who knows?
It could be, indeed.
satellite loves messing with us.
Okay, well, does anyone have any comment at all about Blanche?
Oh, yeah, that thing.
It was a very
dead?
Yeah, we know that much.
Yeah.
well, Blanche is already dead, but it was quite interesting storm because when it was a tropical low, the model said that it would be a Category 3 cyclone. And just
That's the GFS overestimating the intensity against us. That's not really much.
Of course, GFS overestimate the intensity of the storms, but I mean, from a tropical storm to a Category 3 is a really big difference. And Blanche was surrounded by moderate to high wind shear in almost all its path, and even about the wind shear, it could maintain its intensity, and actually it intensified quite quickly before landfall.
Yeah,
So,
not as quickly as some of the models predicted. I got to point out 4 tornado warnings right next to each other in Kansas, just to the west and northwest of Topeka. 4 tornado warnings in effect along the line of thunderstorms there. So it could get a little bit messy in that area right now, and further north as well.
yeah, about 8 minutes ago, Craig said they had a tornado in the ground on Kansas.
Easy mistake to make.
Yeah.
Is it? Hank, how's Kansas?
I've been there once and it was awful. It was literally. But then I was only there for 3 hours, just driving through it, so that explains it.
There you go.
So they're under a tornado warning right now, hoping for news, and you've just said that it's an awful state.
I'm sorry. It was like the southwestern corner.
Now you've just made it even worse. You've narrowed it down. There'll be people after you.
That's not. There's more people out there for me. Trust me.
All right. So as for actually what's going on in Kansas now, as fast as this can load, most of Kansas, it looks like that there's still a tornado watch out for the Kansas City area. And I know Kansas City's in Missouri, but it's right on the border.
Actually, 2 of them.
That
Kansas
line
City.
seems to be pushing through that area right about now. And it's going to continue. I think it's pretty much starting to parallel the I-44 corridor. I think that's what that is right there. and will continue to do so for the next hour or so before it pushes on through that. The southeastern part of Kansas is still underneath an enhanced risk of severe weather by the Storm Prediction Center, which pretty much means that you are at an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, etc. If you're behind this system, though, you're pretty much scot-free. You're good. You can go to bed, have a peaceful night. It should actually be a nice night behind this front.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, I kind of want to take a look at some model runs.
Okay.
Do it.
Briefly.
Feel the screen, man.
Okay. So here's GFS. Now, I'm going to warn you, when it does make landfall, it's going to have a ridiculously low pressure. Ignore it. So, as it says, it's going to make landfall here. Please ignore 857 or just move on. So, landfall around this area right here. Around... Sorry. Antalaha.
Yeah.
Okay, refocus, and then moves south through the island, and then out to sea, and just gets absorbed
Most
by another.
models think it will survive the Madagascar transit, and I'm quite surprised.
Yeah, it's not unheard of, but it's definitely something else.
Well,
ECMW.
usually you think east to west, but not north to south.
ECMWF has a much more realistic landfall pressure. Moves south through the peninsula and actually kind of does a little bit of a zigzag as it moves south. And then you also notice another storm.
Yep.
That's what could become a tropical storm within the next 24 hours, I think, is what
Definitely.
that.
Well, it's already got winds of 35 miles an hour, and you consider it a depression right now, I think.
Yeah, probably. NavGem has weird hours. That's odd. And then landfall, and then south through the peninsula, and then hours kind of skip around here, so it's going to be a little bit just jumpy, I guess. It moves south. Another cyclone moves south of Mauritius and Reunion. But then again, that's quite a ways out. That's 144 hours, so 6 days from now. So still keep an eye on that. CMC is saying that please load 988 millibar. What? That's never mind. It kind of stalls and just moves southwest. That's an interesting path. And it keeps this storm relatively weak. And please ignore all of these storms. It's spawning in the northern. Just never mind. HWRF. That's, is saying again, ignore intensity and pressure. Just actually, maybe not. It might be the most realistic scenarios. Unfortunately, 936 at landfall and 140 miles an hour. So that's actually a feasible possibility.
Yeah.
Moves it south through the island and then as an extratropical storm in southern most Indian Ocean.
All right. We'll keep you up to date on that as it moves slowly towards landfall, and of course on the potential tornado situation. Now, I think there's another tornado warning actually. Let me bring this to you if I can. A tornado warning. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to it. Is that the one that I'm looking at? I'm not sure what I'm looking at now. There's a tornado warning that's in effect further up the line in Missouri, I believe. Yeah. Northeastern Holt County, southern Nottoway County, and northwestern Andrew County all under tornado warning right now until 6:45 p.m. Central Time. Let's see. It's located near Mound City, moving east at 55 miles an hour. Locations impacted include Maryville, Mound City, Maitland, Skidmore, Craig, Barnard, Conception Junction, Bulklow, Graham, Big Lake, Guildford, Clyde, Arco, Fortescue, Bigelow, and Conception. This includes Interstate 29 between mile markers 76 and 92. This cluster of thunderstorms is capable of producing tornadoes and widespread significant wind damage. Do not wait to see or hear the tornado. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building.
Latest image of Enawo. Yeah. Latest image of this cyclone is now up on the screen, at least as late as I can get it, even though this image is now 1 hour out of date. Still, though, this is what the storm looks like, and it's not looking half bad for being only a handful of miles away from land as it continues its slow march towards death by mountainous island.
Yep, there it is, and that big blow up on the western side. I did wonder whether it would have a last little try. Though, is there something going on inside the eye right now?
Yeah, you can see here. You probably can't see it too much on the grayscale imagery, but we'll see it a lot more accentuated on this image here. As I zoom into it, you can see here that there's this little thing in the eye that keeps on circulating around, and it's pretty much kind of like a dry pocket of air just continuing to swirl around here, creating an asymmetry in the eye, kind of disrupting the structure of the storm. If that asymmetry wasn't there, we'd be talking about this thing being a lot higher than just a borderline Category 4, Category 5. But this storm does have these asymmetries and didn't really hold on to the perfect structure for too long, and it continues to slowly march towards Madagascar here as a very menacing cyclone nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, is Cesar still with us, by the way? Or did he go away?
I think he's...
Yes. Well, you'll have to make do with my typing for just a moment. But actually, I want to show you the latest radar loop of what's going on in the US. Obviously, we're monitoring 2 situations right now. That is a really... is almost a very straight line of thunderstorms, it has to be said. And how far do you think this is going to progress?
Depends.
I don't know much about these things, per se.
You know what? Neither do I. So
only that the red stuff is bad.
Yeah.
Red, bad, green.
Well, I don't really have radar up on the screen share because I'm trying to prepare graphics for Enawo. But to give you a little indication of how the radar works, basically what you're seeing there on that green to yellow to red to pink spectra is pretty much how hard it's raining inside of whatever cell. So if it's blue, it's probably not even reaching the ground. If it's green, some sprinkles, maybe a nice little shower. If it's yellow, it's coming down pretty hard, and if it's red, it's coming down really hard, and it's probably a thunderstorm.
A big line of red there.
And if it's pink, sometimes it could be hail.
If you see a big line of red, and it kind of has this weird little S-bend zigzag type of formation to it, that is a well-defined line of strong to severe thunderstorms. And along those lines of severe thunderstorms, you usually get very strong winds. You can get hurricane force winds from these lines of thunderstorms very easily, but they're straight line winds, and occasionally along the front of the lines of thunderstorms, because you have the inflow and outflow boundaries going right over each other, you can have a quick spin up of a tornado, but those tornadoes are usually relatively weak compared to the supercells. The most dangerous storms are usually the storms that are on the tail end of the lines of thunderstorms. Those are the ones that like to produce. Those are the ones that like to turn into supercells, and those are the ones that like to produce stronger tornadoes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
So,
we saw a bit of that in the last outbreak, didn't we?
yes, we kind of did. So, if usually along the tail end of a line is where the strongest storm is. That's the one that has the best downdraft. But yeah, that's how storms kind of work here in the U.S. Usually once you lose the heating of the day, 10, 11 o'clock, storms really start winding down, and they're usually gone by 2 or 3 in the morning. Unlike the last time we had a storm go through, when there were tornado watches out at 7 o'clock in the morning in Kentucky. That just doesn't happen often. The only other time I can remember having that active of a map that early in the morning would have been back in 2011, and well, those outbreaks are kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I remember the outbreak. It was pretty.
The tail end of
2011.
The tail end of the current line is over northeastern Kansas right now, and we'll keep you on top of that. But you've got the imagery up again of Enawo. Any further observations?
Well, this is, again, just to show you how far the storm has come in the past 24 hours. This is the loop of the last 24 hours of the storm, taking us from 2315Z yesterday to 2315Z today, which is about 1 hour ago. And you can see just how quickly the storm kind of went from being a disorganized mess to really getting its act together quickly, turning into Madagascar for quite a while. HWRF also said the same thing, landfall near Madagascar. The other models have been working their way back. The CMC. Okay, let's stop before we get mad. And let's just stop right there. That is
take it easy, Devin.
Of a high-res image that you're going to get, 2315. As soon as new imagery comes through, which should come through in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll pop it up on the screen.
Alright, so there's the latest on Inaro. Category 5. Do we still agree it's a Category 5, or has it gone below that now?
I think it's now a Category 4.
I think personally it's on the borderline.
I think it's still on the border.
I think it's straddling the border, because remember, it takes a little bit for the winds to catch up to the satellite, so I'd still say it's on the...
That's true.
Sounds like a lot of fence sitting to me.
Yeah, it is a lot of fence sitting, because I don't think there's really a definite answer. I think it's, if you give me any number between 150 and 160, I'd say, yeah, that's probably about right.
I'd say like 157.
Do you think that... Obviously, we're only going off off the satellite interpretations of the storm. Do you think the world is entitled to have direct observations, no matter where in the world a storm is?
Yes, but where's that money going to come from?
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate.
They should really make like a drone or something that can go into these storms.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long a drone would survive.
Well,
but they are doing unmanned flights, aren't they?
How do planes survive in the storm?
the recon flights in America, they should adopt that to other countries as well, so we can get a
Japan's
better
supposed-
understanding of storms in other regions of the globe.
Japan's supposed to be doing recon flights this year.
But I heard rumors that they're not even going to fly into super typhoons, which is very.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
of course they wouldn't.
I found out recently, and if you guys know this, that Taiwan have been doing Reconnaissance flights into typhoons since 2003, but the problem is they never actually went in
They
them.
keep missing the
They
storm.
went all the way around the edge of it.
Yeah,
That's
was
not even an
those
investigation.
those flights were probably more to determine the radius of the gales
Yeah.
rather than the actual
intensity.
At least it did something.
Still very useful information. Don't get me wrong. Radius of the gale is very useful information.
I was also looking through the archives, and during one of the storms, it was either Gilbert or Allen. I can't remember which one on the hurricanes. They actually apparently did a VIP flight around the edge of the storm.
That was that one.
Hmm. Who was the VIP? But yeah, apparently a VIP went around the storm. I've never seen anything like that before.
Who would have been president? Carter?
In when? 19...
Yeah, it would have been just before Reagan, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, it would have been Jimmy Carter.
Oh. That would be a VIP.
Could be. Never know. Anyway, I think we've gone off tangent for a little bit too long. Let's see if there's any new tornado warnings in effect, and let me reaffirm the ones that are in fact. The tornado warning has expanded in which one was it? Missouri, northwestern Missouri. The tornado warning has expanded. The area that I was mentioning earlier. Yeah, tornado warning for northeastern Holt County and central Nottoway County in northwestern Missouri. That's still 6:45. So I believe now we've got 6 tornado warnings that are active, though they're over 2 particular areas.
Wow. So there you go. If you are underneath a tornado warning, do not wait to see the tornado. Do not wait to hear the tornado. Seek shelter now. Just don't wait around. Take these storms seriously. Always take the warning seriously, no matter what it is, whether it be a hurricane, tornado, or whatever. Always take the warning seriously. You don't want to end up being that guy that doesn't heed the warnings, because you will not be looked nicely upon by emergency management when they come to find you.
Current time, it's just a 3:30 midnight UTC. I believe it's 3:30 in Madagascar and 4:30 in Mauritius and the Union. So in around 2 or 3 hours, or maybe a little bit more, we'll be looking at first light in that area and first visible images, probably just before the storm makes landfall. Of course, the days slowly come to an end in the US, but tornado warnings abound in parts of the central part of the US. 2 states in particular right now, but the first tornado warning began in Iowa, I believe. And the severe thunderstorm warnings extending into Minnesota, and there's actually a storm warning in
storm warning
in one of the Great Lakes. I forget which one's which, but the one furthest north off Michigan.
Superior.
Is it?
Yeah. Is it the one that
The one furthest
like
west and north.
Pardon?
the northernmost one?
Yeah, the northernmost one.
The northern.
Yeah,
There's a storm warning
area.
out there, and a gale warning across the whole of Lake Michigan as well. And in Florida, I believe some of it is on fire. There are some warnings down there in relation to fire. A civil emergency message, I believe, was still out, but for some reason it's not displaying. But apparently there is a civil emergency message in Collier County. But a red flag warning for the whole area in southern Florida until midnight Eastern Time. I don't know much about what has happened there, but they have a dense smoke advisory out as well, suggesting to me that there is indeed smoke and fire. But how much and to what extent, I do not know. Maybe if anyone else could find out for us, that would be quite helpful. But it's not the only place under a red flag warning. Lots of other parts of the US under such warnings as well, including parts of Texas, Hank.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
That's Marcel.
Parts of West and North Texas around the Panhandle are under some red flag warnings because there are very high winds, pretty much up to minimal tropical storm force, with winds up to 60 miles, with wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And there is a cold front that is moving through the area. It's just about to make it into the northernmost portion of the Panhandle. It's still in Oklahoma, though. Humidity levels are at or below 20%, which is not good for fire. Fires love very low humidity and strong winds. And that extends not just for Texas, but also for New Mexico, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and up towards Nebraska, South Dakota, and Iowa, where some of the aforementioned states have tornado warnings in effect.
I've got some tornado reports to bring to you and to the viewers. In the last hour, all of these, I believe. In Webster County, Iowa, a spotter reported seeing swirling dust. Damage has been reported in the area. In Waubonsee County, earlier on in Kansas, a spin-up on the ground was reported, and also a tornado, could be the same thing, reported near I-70, near exit 331. 30 minutes ago, in Pottawatomie County in Kansas, there was a tornado on the ground just southwest of St. Mary. And 20 minutes ago, Holt County Sheriff Department relayed a report from Mound City Fire Department of a brief tornado just west of Mound City. So it sounded like there's quite a few tornadoes that are very short-lived occurring from this storm, from this line of thunderstorms.
That's typical. That is very typical of lines of thunderstorms.
But there we are, 5 reports so far, including one report, just to mention, apparently, one report of, hail reports of size 4 inches, I believe.
Really?
If I'm reading that right, apparently. But we'll come back to that. Devon, go ahead.
Yes, Zero Z update has come out for 07S. Mateo Reunion still has it as a 30 knot tropical depression. So nothing's really changed there. 07S still remains a disturbance or depression. They are expecting it to strengthen into a tropical storm briefly. Moderately briefly. Not expected to really gain that much strength before weakening back down to nothing.
But it could possibly give Mauritius a little bit of a close call, perhaps. If one or two of the models are to be believed, we'll keep watching that one. But of course, right now we are watching this Cyclone Inaro, and we'll wait for more information on that. I am relying on the Skype team here to give us any moving imagery of Inaro. We only have the static ones over here in the studio, but it has been around Category 5 status, certainly was earlier. Maybe it's losing that now. Haven't seen the latest frame.
The latest frame says that the ice practically being covered, and actually almost all the clouds are surrounding the eye. So that means I think it's not longer a Cat 5.
Right.
Actually, the clouds are covering the eye very quickly. So then that's kind of good, I guess, because that means that Nawo is quickening as well. So I don't know if I can show you the last frame. If you let me share the screen.
I still have the same frame that was showed earlier. I haven't got a new frame. It actually does look like it's quite better than it was previously, but I don't know how it's gonna appear in this frame.
I think they're going to have one more burst, aren't they? The storm's going to have one more burst, rather. They?
I don't
It.
I don't see what Cesar is talking about. It
Yeah,
might
I think he's
This is the last
possibly.
frame, and you can see the eyes practically covered by the clouds.
that's the issue. I can't see the latest frame.
What's your latest frame?
Latest frame,
2315 for some
and
reason.
mine is 0015.
Oh,
Oh,
What?
on what?
the screen share is showing 015. Is that yours, Cesar?
Exactly.
Ah. Yeah, it's a different
And
imagery.
this is the last frame of the storm.
Wait, hold on. Can you get infrared imagery of that?
Let me
Well, that is
get
infrared, but not the one that we're talking about.
Colored in.
the
Okay.
other one.
I just shared
is the
the
infrared.
latest one with them too. So if anyone wants
Yeah,
to
you
pull that one,
want shared imagery. There you go.
This at 00.
oh
This is the
god,
last frame.
Yeah, that's the image I have. So
Well, we look at
Oh.
that, and that's the latest then, and the eye has, well, shallowed.
Shrunk. Yeah, eye is looking poor. Matthew-like, almost.
Ooh, that's close.
and
If we
and the
use
entire
Matthew as a
audience-
if we're using
the
Matthew
entire
as a
audience was
comparison
triggered.
here, I think it looks ever so slightly worse than Matthew, and 155 in that case.
You know what's funny? Right as Devin said that, we got a dislike on the stream.
Oh,
Nice
my
work.
Goodness.
Well, I would
Nice
say
work.
that I will say that I think it looks pretty much just like Matthew, and therefore I rate it 155.
Oh, you would, yes.
You would rate it 155.
How about you,
So,
Marcel?
well,
What do you
this
think
is
of the
the last
storm
frame.
right now?
Oh my.
Oh,
He's taken aback, I think.
me personally, I would say it's a 158.
158.
no, it is not 158. It's 148.
What?
Okay.
No.
That's
Hold up.
interesting.
I think
Wait.
at best this is 150.
Really?
Okay.
150
Well-
at best? Possible.
We have to
Yeah,
come out with
I
a
agree with it.
average. So yes.
151.
And this is what
I
happens
again-
when we don't
remember-
have observations.
remember that
We're left
it-
speculating.
Again, guys, we have to remember that A, satellite could be playing with us, or B, the winds don't exactly catch up with the look of the storm.
That's what I was
That's
just
correct.
That's what I was just about to say, and
That's why the Japan Meteorological Agency should fly under the storm eye and not basing its estimations on satellite imagery. Okay.
And since then, we've gotten 3 dislikes on the stream. Oh, nice.
Nice work.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
Jeez, Devin, look what
I
you
should
started.
have drawn that comparison. I just looked at it. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like an Atlantic
You've
hurricane.
annoyed a lot of people.
I
A
know.
lot.
Thanks a lot, Hank.
But
I know that was my fault. On a no, but in all seriousness, though, what we're pretty much trying to get across here is that the storm is starting to wane out as it's getting closer to land, as we expected it to.
We think.
And yeah, we think it's starting to wane out, and it's likely going to continue to wane out as
So
it
close to land. I think this is going. What we're witnessing here is possibly its final burst, and maybe in a 2 or 3 hours it will be definitely going downhill as it makes up those final few dozen miles before landfall.
Yup.
We'll get the update in terms of position at the next hour, but at midnight UTC, that's 40 minutes ago now, it was 89 miles from Antalaha, Madagascar, and 80 miles, 80, from its closest point of land, full stop. And with its current movement, it's probably going to be somewhere around 85 miles from landfall, and its current speed of movement, we're looking at about maybe 10 hours or 9 hours before landfall. But I do think it's going to end up being less than that. I think it will accelerate a little more.
Hate to cut out in front of you here, Nathan, but Meteo France has just come out with their 0Z advisory on Enawo. No changes in strength, no changes in size, but movement is now 9 knots.
Ooh,
So it's
that's interesting.
2 knots faster.
So counting it down there, we're probably about 7 hours away now.
I will say 6 because it's accelerating even more.
Okay.
Sorry.
Gosh dang it, games.
Let's take you back to the latest radar loop of what's going on across parts of the US. You can see Kansas in particular at the tail end of that. Almost a stream of thunderstorms extending all the way up to Minnesota. Tornado warnings have occurred in most of those states. And right now there are a few tornado warnings in effect, including over Topeka in Kansas, under a tornado warning, and has been for a few moments. And off to its northeast as well, in Missouri, northwestern Missouri, tornado warning there as well. If you've got any comments or questions for us whilst we're on the air, which we expect might be for a little while, send them in and start your message with Force 13 to make it a little bit easier for us to actually be able to see the messages coming in, because it lights up a nice shade of red by the looks of things. So that's quite nice. But there's the latest imagery of the storm. -80°C cloud tops around Cyclone Inaro. I don't know if we could have a quick look at 97S as well, the other system that could become a tropical storm. It's looked decent for a little while now, and whether perhaps we could think about calling it a tropical storm anytime soon.
I think it's still a little bit away from that. It's really struggling a bit, I think. But we can absolutely put that up on the screen if you want to take a look at it.
In the meantime, a question. Is there anything in the Atlantic?
No.
Yes, a cold front and storms.
That's a really good question.
There are 4 Category 5s active right now. No, I'm kidding.
I think there might actually be a 5th one.
Where? Is it the...
in the Caribbean.
Oh, near Haiti.
I think there's an extratropical storm in somewhere.
But let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what the Atlantic has to offer us. And I probably shouldn't use visible wavelengths. But let's take a look at one of those colorful infrared satellite images. There you go. Here's a look at the Atlantic. And I can assure you that tropically it is completely dead.
Certainly. Thunderstorm over Colombia by the looks of it, Marcel. You know about this?
Yeah.
He's there.
I think it's a storm from the Europe region.
A storm from what?
Europe region.
Right.
Uraba.
Yeah.
Ah, cool. So yeah, there you go. an interesting double low pressure system here, but other than that, nothing much going on here.
I can see the
It's
line of
quite
thunderstorms.
It's quite
Yes,
clearly.
you can see. Yes, you can see the line of thunderstorms here very, very clearly. In fact, you can see this entire convective system that is producing this line of thunderstorms with the low pressure being centered just above the Canadian border there. Might give Thunder Bay a pretty good close passage.
Just calculating the latest distances from land now for the next hour, and I'll let you know what's happened at the top of the hour. But by the looks of things, it's gone southwest in the last hour, which I find pretty curious. I'm not sure if satellite reflects that. And would you still say it's a stage 9 on the CDPS?
If we're gonna call it if we're gonna call it 155, it would be down. I believe it would be down to an 8. But I want to see what RAM has to say, and I want to see what JTWC has to say before I make any judgments about that.
Well, I'm calling it 155.
Yep,
No.
I think that we should call it 155 at this point as well. I'm just waiting for all info to come in slowly.
All right. I don't know if there's anything anyone would like to discuss in the just over 5 minutes that we've got remaining of this hour before we take a break. But if there's any more questions, you could go off topic a little bit maybe for the next few minutes. And okay, Donovan Tuning says, when is Cyclone Inaro going to hit Madagascar? Well, we've been discussing that. It's going to be in a few hours. Some say 6, some say 8 or 9, but maybe somewhere in between. And also wants to know, how do I join the Force 13 team? Well, at the moment, you can add Fool13 on Skype and add extension 9094 on Discord on either of those platforms. And we have chat rooms on both platforms as well if you'd like to get involved. Of course, we're also on Facebook and Twitter, where there's regular communication there as well. You see it at the end of every hour on our outlets section. And Stephen tells us that officials confirmed a tornado near Princeton and Zimmerman just before 5:50 p.m. Thursday evening, making it the earliest recorded in state history in Minnesota.
Well, I just checked up on RAM, and their satellite-derived winds actually surprised me a little bit. Show 144 knots.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Usually those are overestimates, so I wouldn't exactly rely on that too much, but the Zero Z RAM numbers just came through, and I'm going to plug those in now.
Isn't that the same graphic that said high end was 830 something?
Oh.
That is correct. Yes,
bad.
it is. It's a shameful graphic, but it at least gives you wind radii.
And there we are.
144 knots is like 165 miles per hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's certainly what I thought the storm did earlier on, in terms of intensity.
I think the storm did reach Category 5 at one point, but now it's kind of a little lower.
Yeah, it's left
yes,
now.
yes.
Let's see, for P, I put down 160 and 920 millibars. So
I think I bought at 160.
I'm practically agree with Hank.
The tornado warning for Topeka has expired. There's still tornado warnings north and south of there, and the warnings in Missouri have also expired, I believe. So we're left with, I think, 2 tornado warnings that are still active at this time, if you're concerned about that. And I think some of the tornado warnings have now just about entered Wisconsin as well. Yep, some severe thunderstorm warnings entering Wisconsin now as well, which is just on the edge of the tornado watch zone too. So I do wonder whether there might be rumblings of a quick spin-up tornado there as well. Maybe, I'm not sure. You guys will have more of an idea than me, I should think.
Yes, Nathan. Actually,
that wasn't a voice I was expecting. Nelson.
Sorry about that. Just got back on. The NWS has issued new watches to the south of the original zones, including counties at the Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma border area.
Okay.
Yeah, around Texarkana. Yeah.
I would. So Nathan, I would like to say, since Ram and Mateo France are in pretty good alignment, and I don't think the JTWC is going to put out an advisory until 9Z, if I'm understanding them right. I would definitely authorize the down to a stage 8, because I've got a 41.6 out of the numbers from Mateo France and Ram.
So still stage 8 on the CDPS. What does that mean for Madagascar?
Well, it's still a very powerful, very dangerous storm. Anything over 40 is still extremely dangerous. So just because it got downgraded just a wee bit doesn't really mean much.
And do you have any... Could we tell people a little bit about how widespread that could be as well, maybe?
Well, certainly the landfall area is going to be gravely impacted. And I'd probably say at least 100 kilometers in either direction of the landfall area is also going to be very significantly impacted from the storm. Storm surges are going to be very high. I've heard reports that potentially we could see up to 15 feet of surge up in the bay. So be prepared for that. Torrential rains are still a huge threat, especially with the mountains. That's always a huge issue. Wind's a huge issue, obviously, as a borderline Category 4, Category 5 coming through. You might experience 130, 140, maybe even 150 mile per hour sustained winds if the eye's going right over you. So it could be a widespread issue, and that's just the landfall impacts. That's not saying how much the flooding will continue to impact Madagascar as it treks over a large majority of the island. So keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely. Nelson, any... I don't know if you've got any more news about actual tornadoes that have landed. We've had with at least 5 tornado reports so far. And I've just got the graphic of the tornado warning area expanding as well now as well, yeah. The tornado watch zone. Did I say warning?
You did, but I'll forgive you for that. There have been enough
zone.
Tornado warnings. No, actually, as I monitor it right now, there are no new tornadoes on the ground since the last one you announced.
Okay, well, there we are. And lots of fire-related warnings as well over there. And believe it or not, there's still a blizzard warning for one area up north as well.
Oh my.
Yes, didn't you know? Alright, well, go on.
It's probably not going to be a lot of snow. It's just the fact that it's so windy up there. Yeah, they're only expecting accumulation of 1 to 3 inches.
Alright. Well, our coverage will continue on the other side of this little break. Stay tuned, this is Force 13 Live, and we're going to be covering Enawo all the way until landfall. Stay with us. coverage continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, at your service at any time with the latest storm updates. You can also find us on YouTube if you're not watching us there already, and subscribe if you've not done so. You can also find us on Facebook, search Force 13 all in text, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter if you'd like to get in touch on those mediums. You can also add Fool 13 on Skype and add extension 9094